Hello, traders. It's 8:01 a.m. Chicago time on Monday, the 2nd of December, 2019. Welcome to December. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This is episode number 1649. This morning, the market is showing a little bit of risk-off sentiment despite some of the action overnight. Positive news out of China. PMI numbers came in strongest in the past 3 years, and but the market responded up and came back off, and now we're trading in the lower parts of Wednesday. Something to note. Because Thursday is not a standard trading day, nor is Friday, the futures data for those days are removed from my charts. So when we look at my charts in a minute, you'll notice that those days do not exist. I just do not want them to affect the overall volume profile, although the volume is light. Some people leave them in, and that's fine too. Whatever works for you. They did not have, both those days did not really have the support of the underlying sectors anyway, so they're removed. Anyway, looking at what's on deck, as I said, the numbers out of China came in relatively strong. What's remaining for today is U.S. ISM manufacturing PMI. Quite important, expecting 49.2. That comes out a half hour after the open. Pay attention to that. We also get construction spending, which is not as important, but still it comes out at the same time, expecting 0.4%. We have several auctions, treasury auctions, and that wraps up the day. The rest of the week, though, just because it's Monday, looking at what's high impact for the rest of the week, we don't have much tomorrow. Wednesday, we have ISM non-manufacturing or ISM services PMI, and then we have balance of trade for the U.S., and then we have balance of trade for Australia. We have balance of trade for the U.S. on Thursday morning, Canadian IV PMI, and then most important for the week is non-farm payrolls and unemployment on Friday at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, expecting around 180,000 jobs added for the month of November. And then on that same day, we get the Michigan sentiment prelim, which is also a likely mover, expecting 97, and that wraps up the week. Let's switch gears here and follow our routine. We're all about routine. And look at what was expected on Wednesday. Wednesday, the key expectation where we were opening is that we would have a sideways open auction, either slightly in or slightly out of range, but an open auction in either case. And then I was looking for it to dip down towards the 3140 area for a bounce out into and through 3150 as the primary scenario. The secondary is an open auction that pushes down into 3141, and then we would get a bounce into 3155-ish. That's what you see here, scenario number 2. Here's what actually happened. There wasn't much action. The volume was low because it's coming into the holiday. There's the open auction. This is as open auction as it comes right here. This is a 2-tick Renko chart, day session only, and we are just going sideways and sideways and sideways, lulling everyone to sleep for about the first hour and a half, and then as soon as the European markets close, we start to push up. We end up at 31.55 on the high. Wow, I don't know what that was. 31.55 at the high, and we ended up shifting the point of control to about 31.52, 52 and a quarter. And note that the overnight session is resting on that as well. given the way the market closed on Friday, as you may have already guessed, we are likely to continue to drift higher in the reopen on Sunday. And so we did. We pushed to 31.58 on the China PMI numbers, and then we have since come off, and we are currently trading down here. Notice the clear double distribution profile that was built, and notice that it is trading in that lower distribution. We now, based on this setup, we now see 31.50, 51 as relatively strong resistance for today. That area, the low volume node, the zipper, the bottom of the zipper of that low volume node, which is right in here, 31.51, is likely to operate as resistance, and a short would need to carry a stop of about 4 points in that situation. This is, if for those of you who have been following for a while, I've talked a lot about placing stops where the market has to work hard to take your stop out. I'm sure you've heard me say that before. This is the kind of setup where the market has to really work through some volume right in this area, work through this price action. If you're not a volume trader, it has to really work through that to get to the other side and tag the stop. This is the kind of setup that I'm really talking about. So that's where we are. Now, we're still talking about the past and what has happened. We do have a relatively incomplete low, so to speak. We don't see the market kind of, we see the market kind of tests and retests and retests and retests that low. And so any push through here is likely to target 31.36. That'll be the next key target, with some potential support at 31.38, the low volume node on this day. This day was also a double distribution profile, and we expect a reaction in that 31.38 quarter-ish area. So that's all. The volume, of course, on Wednesday was off by about 200,000 to 300,000. It was off about 30%. And then looking at the overnight session, here's what we've got overnight. We open back up again. This may look different than your chart because I've removed Thursday and Friday's data completely. And we see here that we immediately push higher, consolidate after the release, finally have a continuation once the European markets open, and then we have a classic push, pull, failure to take out the high, and then it spills its guts as it gets through the pivot point here and moves back to the scene of the crime of that news. Okay, and so the overnight profile has okay volume in it, not tremendous, but not as low as 150,000 or whatever. So there's a fair amount of activity, and so that's this is the auction here is fairly active. The auction also shows triple distributions. I mean, the market is not able to find consensus in the overnight session. That's what that's saying. It's not able to come to an agreement on what value is. And so I expect that discovery process to continue into today's session. I expect that there's likely to be a process of seeking value up and down. This is a 15-minute chart. The initial resistance right here at 150, and remember 151 above there. These areas we need to pay attention to. Below there, I expect that the market is likely to seek lower prices, advertise lower prices to seek out buyers, is what I should say. So that's where we stand. Moving over to the order flow picture. We see that we see the action here. We open up and we immediately shoot higher on the China news, and we hold steady, and then we finally get the build up that comes in with the European markets. This is quite common, very active part of the session. We see the build up, and then we see resistance come in here, and the market spills. Now, there's not much in terms of character or clues that we can get. I think we can glean from the overnight session as I move out on a full depth basis to see how the order book is stacked. We see a little bit of action down in here, the 31, 40, and 42. And then from there, it's all the way down to 31.30. It's clear all the way down to 31.30 in terms of the order flow, and above 31.60 to 31.62, 63 presents an offer, a relatively decent offer. At 31.51 to 50, this is our first resistance. Because we're so close to where the current market is, it's a little bit murky. It's a little bit noisy in there. So as we zoom in to 31.51 to 31.50, we see that it's not really offering up much in terms of liquidity in those areas. We'll see how things look on the open. Again, this is ctbookmap.pro, and overall the overnight volume has been relatively positive so far. So that's where we stand. Let's switch gears yet again and get to our trades for the day. But as I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, tomorrow it'll be 2 weeks with this petition. The petition has stalled out at about 15 to 1,600 signatures. We can do better than that. I would love for you to take a moment to fill this out. If you have not, ft71.com. It really literally takes seconds to do. It's in the description of the YouTube video. It's in the YouTube chat, and it's really easy to remember. ft71.com/MCL, all caps. I'm expecting to put this in front of some directors at the CME soon. I'd love to see this get up there in the 2000s. So if you know friends who trade futures or whatever, stick in front of their nose, ask them to get on and fill it out, and then we can hopefully get this micro crude product launched so that we have some diversification away from indices if and when the market comes to a halt. So let's take a look at what we've got for today. Let's open up the stock zone areas. So here we are, opening in range. There's really no value from Friday, even though it's colored black here. There's really no value. The market could not find value. It was more of a trend day that finished with the VPOC at the upper quartile of the range to finish strong. My expectation is an open auction, and then it attempts to push up into this 50 area, and then 51. It might poke through into the VPOC. I'm expecting some resistance to bring it back to the open again, and then for it to start its discovery process down. Now, I'm not expecting much range. Okay, I'm expecting about 10 to 12 points of range. Again, I think it was last Monday, I didn't expect much either, and it ended up ripping up right here. Right here. It ended up ripping up on the open. It could do that, but overall, just in general, the auction process would give us this expectation. The key trade will be a short in the 31.50 to 31.50, 150 or so area, with a stop above at about 54 half. aiming for the low at 42.25. That's the key primary first trade of the day. The secondary is an open auction that drifts up, pushes lower, and then we get down into 31.41. We break the overnight low or last Wednesday's low, come back in, and then start to drift lower with some support again at 31.41. And I'm looking for it to get down into 31.36 before the closing bounce. Those are the two key scenarios. The third scenario is one where there's a buy aggressor. This would involve an open test down into 31.44 and then drive up, consolidate at 31.51, and then push through and give us new all-time highs as it squeezes up into the 31.58, 31.60 resistance right up here. This is a measured move, multi-measured move level. Yeah, it's a multi-measured move level. And so I'm seeing that, I'm expecting that it's likely to run into some resistance right up there. That's scenario 3. Good luck today, and as always, I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care.